All right, hello everyone. We're here for our cast assessment for Survivor. Rewrite the stars. Brains versus Brawn versus Beauty. Second chance. Um, got me, Kevin, and Peter on right now. Hopefully, some others should be joining us soon. But we're gonna go ahead and get started and talk about our lovely players this season. You'll be seeing this after. See what we said about you.
All right.
All right, Radical Rewrite the Stars cast assessment. That was interesting. Right? All right.
Yes. All right. Ready for the first person?
I'm ready whenever you are.
All right. Here we go.
All right. So we got Becky, who is a dear, dear friend of mine. She played in her second ever mini. She is, which is Bayonetta Island or Bayonetta. Someone else in the cast we'll get to later will kill me for saying that wrong.
Oh,
Her occupation is a nanny. She is 30. She lives in North Carolina, and her pronouns are she, her. Um, So as far as I know, so little backstory about Becky playing. She played in the second mini. Um, was on a tribe. They went in 5-5 to merge. One of the players flipped to play with their friends. Little friend Viver, and Becky just ended up in
always a
the
fun time.
bottom. Got into a fight with Hart or Legend Hart, and they were just arguing in the other room. And then the point where it's like, well, why are we gonna vote one? They thought they were targets, and like, why are we gonna vote them out? And then she just decided to get drunk and be chaotic. It was a mini. She had fun. But I do know Becky is a very, very, very good social player. So she will be on the beauty tribe. Um, very good socially. And this is her first game in a while, as far as I know. I do know she makes the end a lot. She is very smart and she tends to make those long-term connections. A lot of I've not seen Becky win a game. I know she has made quite a few final tribal councils. I think people struggle is I don't know where she quite loses. I don't know if it's whether people struggle with her making the connection and she cuts them, or if it just stronger players. But I mean, she is a very strong player, and I think she does hold a great chance to win games. So I'm curious to see how she does, especially like coming from a mini. I think she's gonna be such a wild card to this cast because no one's really saw that, and that mini was 3 years ago at this point. Almost like two and a half. So yeah. Anyone else have thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about how she plays, but I do think that especially coming off of a mini from forever ago and then finally playing the real, like, lawn version of the game, I'm interested to see how she's going to adapt to that. And I feel like she's going to do like really well. I don't think people are going to expect her to be as sociable player as she is. I think because she hasn't played in a while, she definitely has a leg up in that way, especially because, like, again, people aren't aware of what she's doing. I don't think she's that well connected, but I think that's going to work out in her favor. I think she's going to be someone who like is like decently positioned on her tribe. Um, she did say in her write up that she's excited to play and she plans to not fight. So other than that, I don't know much to say, but I'm definitely rooting for her. I think she has a lot of potential. I think on her tribe, she's probably one of the people I think has the most potential to go far.
See, for me, Becky just screams the season's gone too soon cast member. Just based on how the tribe dynamics break down, I feel like she's going to be one of those
Yeah.
people who's in an alliance that is decent early on, but too many people get voted off to where when the first swap hits, Becky's just going to be seen as that social stronghold that just goes too soon before she really gets a footing in the game.
I could see that beauty tribe. I mean, is by far our weakest tribe.
Oh yeah.
I could see it depends how she integrates. I could see it being like Peter
Yeah.
said, or I can also see it where she just kind of can stay under the radar for a little bit, and she
Mm-hmm.
could make merge and then try to work it out from there. I think she's kind of like I think she could make merge, but I think it all depends on the dynamics that Beauty Tribe and if she's willing to branch out more so.
Yeah, if Beauty goes to tribal often, I could see a scenario where it's like, oh, they put two and two together. Like Becky's like really well insulated. We got to take her out. Like she's
Mhm.
gonna like kill the merge. So that's definitely a possibility. I could see that happening.
Yeah, I do think she'll at least make merge though.
Oh yeah, I think
I
so
think
too.
she's only made not made merge in 2 games. And one of them
Yeah.
was in a game with me, and it's because it
Oh
was
well.
a safety chain. So
Okay.
very unique circumstances. and I think one was Icons, and like, which is a friend Viber tribe, if I'm not mistaken, or close to it. But yeah, she definitely is someone to look out for.
Definitely.
Just depends how she can do in those early days that are gonna.
And she's in such an interesting position too. The only rep from her season. There's not many people who are like that. So I'm excited to see how she does with that as well. So
agreed.
All right. You ready for the next person?
Yes.
All right, here we go. If it lets me do it. Oh, there we go. I have to click on the screen in order to do it.
Next up is the Tyler who should have been on All Stars. Throwing some shade there. I don't think anyone will mind. We have he played in Greece. He's a janitor. 33.
Who could you possibly be throwing shade at?
33 from Ohio, and his pronouns are he, him. So Tyler is really interesting because we were discussing it's like Tyler W. Should he be on All Star? Should he not? Like, but it just when you got to merge that group of players was so stacked. It was so hard to pick. It was between him and Christopher Smith. But ultimately we went to Christopher Smith. But Tyler, what's interesting about him is he's a smart player. He's not the most social. He is smart and like he can integrate. Like he was in a majority lines going into that season. It really ran it. Tyler, the other Tyler who should not be named, flipped on the lines and he flipped the vote. They got his other one's idol, and then voted out his closest ally or his other ally to kind of get him out of the game. Then they voted out him because he was immune that round. And then next round, Tyler was like, Chris Miller is going to win this game. Got the numbers to vote out Chris Miller, then Redacted, who also should not be named, the third place finalist for that season, if you know who he is. Went and told Chris Miller that he was going to vote him out. Yeah, and Chris Miller was going to win the game. And that person ran and told Chris Miller, and Chris Miller almost lost the game by doing this and said to Lamiel and Adrian, if you vote with me, I will send myself in fire against Redacted. And yeah, it screwed him over because he got the votes onto him, essentially sending him out of the game. And he honestly, I think, had that worked out that night, and that person not done that, I think Tyler stands a pretty good chance of winning the season overall. But yeah, I'm curious to see how he plays just because it's been so long as well. Like he has not played since then. He was kind of he was kind of a dark horse in challenges as far as I know too. Like he was like second or third in almost every single challenge. So he's
on Braun, right?
He's on Brain.
Okay.
Yeah, he's super smart. Like I said, he knew what's going to happen. It's just that he realized it too late and cut those numbers that would have helped him. Like his mistake was flipping and saying like they had a 4-person line saying it was crumbling and going to Chris about that. He should have voted out Chris right then and there when he had the numbers to do it. Because I don't think, and then cut the both redacteds. And I think he stands a very good chance at winning there against any of the company. If he goes with Christopher, Adrian, and Lamiel, I think he stands a very good chance at that point because he can be the one. But I think he just knew the right move, but tried to make it too late.
See, Tyler is giving me major most likely to be screwed by the duos twist.
Oh, yeah, the tether.
Just because I feel like he's going to start off very strategic and try to play under the radar. And he's going to end up with somebody he doesn't want to be with, and it's going to sink his game before it truly takes off.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. I do want to weigh in on some things he said in his confessional because I don't really know this guy, and this is all I can really go off of. He did say that like he's trying to figure out, what he did wrong because he was in a spot where he was destined to lose. So he's going to try to find somebody who's not going to spill his plans to like make a move against the eventual winner. He also talks about how he plans to be a little bit more social and make allies. So it seems like he has an idea of what he needs to do. And I feel like that's kind of what you need to like, what, the goal of the Second Chances season is. It's like, let me figure out what really like fucked me over the last time and let me try to like, correct that here. And it seems like he is ready to do that. It's just a matter of like, is he going to do those things? Is he actually going to like, put that effort in socially, or is he going to end up in a similar spot that he does last time? Like I said, I don't really know him. Definitely seems like a wild card, but definitely could be someone to keep an eye out on.
I do think you bring up a good point that like he brings up a good point. Like I think he realizes that his mistake was doing what he did at 7.
Yeah.
Not making that move when he could, because he knows everyone was going to vote out the other. He could have easily got the other 2 voted out if he with the other people, because he misjudged how smart Chris is. Like we all know Chris Miller is a very, very smart player. He won the season for a reason. Like he made a very deep run in All-Stars. It was flying underneath the radar. I think he just didn't have the numbers at that point. It was when he got voted out. He didn't really do anything wrong, but he misjudged how smart Kristen Miller was and how well he manipulated Lamiel and Adrian to get him out of the game. So I think he realizes that and knows that if he has the opportunity to make a move like that, make it and deal with the other people later. Like, because no one's going to trust him at that point. Like with other people, the other person flipping, no one was going to trust him. Like he could have very easily spun it on him at a later date, and he could have been in the finale against like Adrian and like maybe even a Lamiel and won at that point. I think he has a lot of respect at that point, saying like, yeah, cut the 2 biggest threats. I think that's really messed up. And had that worked, he probably would have won that season. But it was just poorly executed.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty good.
All right. So let's go ahead and go to the next one.
Next up, we have Kenzie, way back from Greece as well. She did place 9th. She's a sales associate, 32, reigning from Canada, and her. So Kenzie was actually a really decent position. I don't think anyone was really gunning for her too hard. Like her name was floating, but I think she had protection. Unfortunately, she had asked to be voted out of the game. And that's really kind of what happened. I mean, I don't think she's in any real danger. She was doing really well socially in the beginning. People wanted to keep her. And that season was just full of quits, quite frankly. So, like, all the people that left the game were, like, generally considering working with her at some point. I'm curious to see how Kenzie does. I do know I love Kenzie. I know she does have a tendency to say what's on her mind, which is exactly why she's on the Braun tribe. Like, you could say Braun's strategic, but she because she does not care.
Big and bold,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, she will say what's on her mind. If you screw her over, she'll let you know, like, how she feels. The only thing I worry about is Kenzie can tone that back. She can do really, really well, because I've seen Kenzie go extremely far in games. Problem is, how much can Kenzie hold in a little bit more so for me?
Yeah, that's entirely like my thing with her as well. I've only seen her play 1 game, and she did really well in that game. I think, it was just a lot of people did not like the way that she was so like outspoken about things, the way that she was so upfront about how she was feeling. So I think she just needs to find like the right group of people if they're okay with her doing that, or if that's going to be a problem. And also, like, how much does she do that? Does that put a target on her back, or do people appreciate the fact that she's saying the thing that nobody else is saying? So I think it depends on like what she says. She does say in her write-up here that like she's going to be careful who she trusts. She's not going to play with her heart on her sleeve. So I think that like, she's going in a really interesting position, because she can't really go in the game and say there's anything I did to leave other than I just had to leave because of extenuating circumstances. So I think that puts her in a really interesting spot to where she's essentially getting to kind of pick up where she left off in the last game. And it all comes down to like, did she do anything wrong in that game that she realized that she didn't? And is that going to cost her here? So I think she's in a really interesting spot. Not entirely sure how she's going to do. Like you said, I've definitely seen her make it far. It all really comes down to, is she able to find the balance between someone who is very upfront about what she's doing, but also someone who's able to rally in people that have her back and aren't fazed by what she's doing and aren't bothered by what she's doing? Is she able to find that perfect balance? And if she can, I think she can definitely make it far. But Peter, go ahead.
I'd say for Kinsey, for me personally, I actually think by the end of the season, you'll be calling it the Purple Kinsey edit.
Okay.
Just based off of the beginning of her tribe, she's got a lot of big personalities.
Yeah.
With,
She
like
does.
Mike and Tristan and Nicole F and Julia. I feel like off the bat, she's going to be one of those key essential alliance pieces where she kind of tones it back to begin with. But you're going to see her end up going probably in the double, probably the final 10 double. We'll see her finish right in the same place around 10th, ninth place as a let's pick off somebody else's number.
A lot of big personalities, and I think, which is weird to say, I think Kenzie's one of the lesser personalities of this game.
Yeah.
I do
really
think she will
tells
go
you
through.
how stacked her tribe is.
Yeah, I think she will go pretty far, though. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of agree with Peter for placement, but I don't see people seeing Kenzie necessarily like a threat, and I think that benefits her. But it's also like when you get down low numbers, it's like, oh, people are gonna say, oh shit, Kenzie's in a really good spot, and like if she gets, like I said, swaps grid at that double thing,
Mm-hmm.
I can see her going out simply because we're gonna get out a number when we can. But if she could survive that, I think Kenzie has a decent shot at this game.
All right, ready for who's next?
Yeah.
Oh, it already did it.
Well, next up is Christine. She played in Greece. She plays. This is actually wrong. She plays 15. She's a cook, 25. Fort Erie, Ontario. And she's from, and her pronouns are she, her. So Christine is an interesting one to me. She played a game with me. I got 5th, she got 4th. Then she played a challenge game. And then she played this. She has not played a game since. So the interesting thing about Christine, and I told Kevin this, is in the game I played with her, she was kind of our 6th number, right? And the 2 of the other people in our 5-person alliance, she started to make a move against me and my duo partner, because they knew that they'd try to take over the game, and it absolutely worked. It was absolutely the right move. Was I pissed about it? Absolutely. But I immediately went to Christine. I was like, they were telling me your name. They were telling you this person's, like, we need to work together. These people are going to win the game. Like, and she totally was receptive, listened to me, gave me her thoughts, was absolutely agreeing with me, and then immediately ran and told them on a call and got me out of the game. And I probably I could have had a chance of surviving that round, but she got me out of the game.
Yep.
Because I was like, if I can get this out, I could win. But she was smart. Her first game, she clocked that, like, hey, I can kind of listen to somebody, hear them out, and make sure they're the target. Because absolutely, I think there was a chance it was me or her at 5, 100%. And I knew that. But she listened to me for 2 hours on a call and then threw me under the bus. I think, and also her not playing in a while, people not really knowing who she is. She comes off very sweet. She's, like I said, very social. She gets people to tell her information and then does with it as she sees fit. So I think she's definitely kind of one of the wild cards this season that we could see make a very deep run.
I think Christine is probably one of the biggest dark horses on this cast. And I think a lot of people just aren't going to expect how she plays. She's not someone that plays these very often. She hasn't really played that many games aside from like the one you said. And so I think there's gonna be a lot of people who A, don't know her, B, just see her as like this really sweet person. Cause she even says in like her write-up here, like all she wants to do is like do what she can to see how far she gets, make fun memories with people, but they're not gonna see this more strategic side of her. They're not gonna see that she's someone that could be their downfall in the game. So she's gonna be someone that like people go to give a lot of information. They're gonna give her an information dump. And they're going to think like, okay, this is going to stay on this call. Christine's not going to say anything, but then she's going to say something and it's going to only for her to say something and then just completely fuck them over as a result. And I'm really excited to see when she does that because I don't think people are going to expect it. So yeah, I have very high hopes for Christine. I definitely could see her getting very far. Honestly, I see her going as far as like top 6 probably. I really do think she's in a very good spot. I think on her tribe, I can definitely see her connecting well with people. I think out of the Greece people, like especially with what you told me, like she's probably the person that I have the most faith in. So yeah, I feel really good about Christine's chances.
I think she can go really deep in this game. Like, and
Yeah.
she absolutely, if she survived that Final Four vote, she was going to win that game. Like, hands
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Because people were so impressed. She was a scapegoat the entire merge. And she was just giving people information constantly, taking more information she was giving. And it was really impressive.
Yeah.
And for someone who did, I believe at that point didn't see Survivor at all, was recruited and really like adapts the game pretty well.
Yeah, I pretty much agree across the board. As I say, Christine's kind of she's either going to be one of the first 4 out or sitting in the final 4. In this community, especially in a returning season, you either having allies is really good right off the bat, or having no allies is really good, depending which way the season goes. With Beauty expected to go to tribals early,
hey, look at Molly.
I say, look at Molly. Like it's one of those where if she can get in an alliance that keeps her, if she can get in a group of 4 early on, I think she'll be pretty safe until late in the game. But I think if she doesn't find herself in numbers right away, you could see her finish anywhere from 23rd to 21st.
All right.
Yeah,
anything else about Christine?
No.
All right.
Pretty good. Oh, this is out of order. It should be Tristan next, right? Oh no, no. Reverse order. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So next up we have Gabby.
It's highest to lowest. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So next up we have Gabby from Sounds of Disney, Battle of the Bitches. She plays 9th. She's unemployed. 40, lives in NYC, and goes by she/her pronouns. So Gabby is an interesting one for her. Gabby is a good friend of mine. I adore Gabby. Gabby is one I worry about in this season. I know she can tend to disappear. I know Gabby's really into the game though, so I know that helps. I just worry because I know Gabby's not so great at challenges, and especially if that Beauty tribe keeps going to tribal and Gabby's consistently a lower placer, I think it could really potentially screw Gabby just because like, oh hey, well, we're losing a lot, and Gabby is one of our weakest challenge performers. But it also depends because she does do well socially, and I think that could help her. But it's a matter of how far she gets, and like also one thing I say is she's smart with puzzles. The one thing I see the lack in her game is strategy. She doesn't really understand votes from just talking to her, like vote breakdowns and everything. And I feel like sometimes she's just really told what to do. And she kind of has always said to me, like, oh, I'm free to throw out a name to make myself a target. Like sometimes you have to throw out that name. It's just about throwing out the right name. And I think she has trouble figuring that piece of the game out. I do think she's a very good player. She has potential. I just worry she might go out pre-merge.
Yeah, I think Gabby does come into this as someone who could very well go out early. I don't think she's in the greatest spot on her tribe. I think there's going to be other people who are more social than her. And then there's also going to be people who perform better in challenges than her. And so I think that puts her in a really tough spot. The one thing I will say about her that I think I have a little bit more faith in is that it does seem like she knows what she did wrong on her last season. She does talk about here how like she trusted too many people with her advantages. She went to the person like the loosest lips on the cast, which might be the next person we're talking about. I don't know. But she talked about how like she decided to go back into an alliance that she made and got caught in the crossfire. So like it definitely seems like she has an idea of what she needs to do. Again, similar to Tyler, it's just how does she execute that? Does she recognize like how she goes about that? You talked about how she's not a very strategic player, and those are things that like in order to tell the right person about your advantage, that's all a strategic thing, having the right alliance on your side, that's another strategic thing. So like, is she able to recognize that? I think if she can get in early and really talk to people and really put herself in a good spot, she could honestly really surprise us. But I have seen a lot of games where Gabby does go out fairly early, and it's usually because she's not the most active. She's not really doing a lot. She's not really putting in much effort. People don't really know how they feel about her. So that definitely could be an issue for her. Again, I think it really just comes down to like, what does she do in those first few weeks? I think those first few weeks are going to be so crucial for the rest of her game. And if she doesn't go in those first few weeks, I think she does have at least a decent shot of at least making it a little further than last time. It just really comes down to, can she survive those first couple weeks? And then from there, we'll see how she does. So I think she definitely has some upside, but I also can very much see your concerns, Jay.
Yeah, and I also like one thing to mention, the way Gabby went out is it was out of double twist. She told the wrong people about her advantages, and then that told circles around. People were like, oh, an extra vote at Final 8 is very scary. We're going to Final 8. Let's blindside her. And also, there was a alliance that, and the person who was, maybe we'll talk about them next.
Perhaps, who knows?
Was like, oh, well, this alliance existed, and clearly it wasn't real, and that immediately blew up Gabby's game. So yeah, I think Gabby had a good shot, and I think looking at it, if you look at All Stars, like the two heavy strategic people were bitter at, and Molly won because of her social game, essentially. Like she was just around a social. So I think if Gabby can go far, she could win because of that. Like, especially in these returning seasons, people's egos get hurt.
Yeah.
Gabby, for me, just looking off her starting tribe, gives me the impression of the first person to suggest an all-girls alliance, and then the first person to be voted out of that all-girls alliance. I feel like early and often she's going to feel like she has that group of 5. I feel like her and Taco Tony will definitely have something, and they'll want to target Blake and Dex early on. But I think if they start losing too many challenges back to back to back, she'll be the first one they get rid of the group, just because moving forward she won't be able to offer them a whole lot outside of a social game, which with this group you have a lot of strong social players.
Yeah, the beauty tribe, it's hard to be social. Like, that's the problem. I agree that, like, it's like, okay, yeah, you're all social, but it's a matter of who's the most social is one who's going to survive. And I don't know if Gabby's the most social on that tribe.
I think others are definitely going to have a leg up for sure. And I think that's going to be her issue. But all right, we're ready for the next one?
Yep.
All right, might have a direct correlation to the last person we talked about.
The person who blew up her game.
Yes.
So we have Mike from Survivor Sons of Disney, Battle of the Bitches. They are a musician. They placed 11th. They are 30 from Providence, Rhode Island, and they go by he, they. So Mike is an interesting one.
To say the least.
Mike, potentially one of the worst moves in Radical, and definitely candidate for worst move if everybody did not tell each other about their advantages they bought from the shop that season. Mike would have got worst move. They go to Ingrid and go, I have our tribe idol, and I think I'm going to be voted out. And then has an unsuccessful idol play, forced to flush their idol. Luckily, they didn't need it. It was only pre-merge idol. But Mike was kind of, people just didn't feel connected to them come merge, and they really only had one connection, and it was Rachel. So like, and Gabby. So like, that's what I worry about them is I know they have a tendency not to talk to people in games, and I think when they do talk to people, they are scary good in challenge. They are sneaky good in challenges. So easily on a Braun tribe, like you don't look at Mike and be like, "Oh, Braun." But I remember, like for example, one thing we watched is like when Princess of the Frog kept losing, and Mike single-handedly almost won that challenge for him. Them and Fred beasted that spin cycle challenge. And Mike is someone who I think could make a deep run, could be good challenge threat. They're very good when they are around. It just, are they around is the question.
Yeah, that's exactly my assessment. Mike is a very good friend of mine, full disclosure. I think, but so I feel like I know quite a bit of how how he plays, especially the fact that, like, he is somebody that I do think can do really well. He is somebody who, when he has the correct information, when he has the correct allies, he can go very far. I hosted him in a game once, and the pre-merge was not very good for him. He thought he was going to leave like every single round. He was like crashing out in like his prod chat and things like that. Like, this is it for me. This is where I'm going to go. And people were like really annoyed by that. But then the person that was like kind of like butting heads with him, the two of them ended up teaming up, and he did significantly better as a result because he had the correct information at that point. And so I feel like, again, he is someone that can do really well. He's also no slouch in challenges. There's a reason he's on the Braun tribe. He is very good when it comes to challenges, and a lot of people don't really see it. And I think that that's something he's going to do really well with. It just comes down to, is he similar to Gabby, is he going to be social in those first couple weeks? I've seen him play a string of games recently where he wasn't really talking to people at first, and that really put him in a significantly worse spot as a result. And I think when you look at this tribe, I think there definitely are people that he's going to get along well with just fine. Again, it's just a matter of like, are there other people who are going to be more social? Are there other people who are going to put in more effort? We'll have to see. I assume he's going to work with Julia because her name is Julia. Yeah, overall, I think that he definitely has a lot of potential. I think that he doesn't really seem to have a game plan of what he wants to do. And I think that's okay. I think, going in and kind of just like seeing how the game plays out, seeing what, ends up going on, I think it could definitely work out for him. Again, I think the problem with Mike is that sometimes he gets a little bit too comfortable in the position that he's in, and he's not really able to see a move that needs to be made. Like a perfect example, he played a Big Brother game once, and there was an obvious move he needed to make, but because he was in a quote unquote alliance with two people, even though they did not talk in that alliance, and he wanted to like form that alliance, and he was the HOH, he didn't put them up. And as a result, he lost the game the following round because he didn't make the move when he needed to. And I feel like that could definitely be an issue for him, where like he just gets too comfortable with people. He's not really able to see the writing on the wall. And I think that could be a problem. But on the flip side, again, if he finds those right people, he could put himself in a really good position. So he's a bit of a wild card. I don't really know how he's going to be honest with you. I'm always rooting for him. I just don't know where he's going to go. He is, in terms of placements, he can be all over the place. Sometimes he can be the last pre-merger. A lot of the time, he's the last pre-merger, honestly. One of those might have been my doing in a game that I maybe won. But I digress. And sometimes he can go somewhat far in the merge, going as far as to like 6th place. I've seen him get 4th. I've seen him, get like 5th. He definitely, like I said, is all over the place with that stuff. And where he's going to fall, we will really just have to see. If he's able to hone the skills that he has, I think he can definitely go far. But I do think that there definitely are some drawbacks that I definitely do have a bit of concern about. So we'll really have to see how he does.
See, for me, the vibes I'm getting from Mike is giving this season's most likely to be screwed by an advantage. I feel like just based off of his early on tribe, like I feel like he's going to be safe for most of the pre-merge and even into the high teens. But I feel like at some point he's going to end up being on the wrong side of either a safety chain or multiple idols played, and someone just throwing a random vote, and all of a sudden there goes Mike in 13th or 14th, and Mike's sitting back going, "What did I do wrong? I really don't know." So,
yeah. All right. Let's go to the next one here.
All right. Next up is Tristan from Survivor. Sounds like his name, Battle the Bitches. He is a paraprofessional. He plays 13th. He is 27 from Jenks, Oklahoma, and goes by he, him. So Tristan's an interesting one. Tristan was on a dominant tribe early on, continued to dominate for a swap tribe, actually, and that's the reason he went out. Because he went for over an hour in a challenge where the other tribe did not even get close to an hour. They got like 30 minutes combined. So like he doubled, and everyone was like, "Oh shit, let's get Tristan out." And actually somebody who I said to everyone was like, "Hey, like Tristan's a challenge beast. I'm not working with Tristan. Let me paint this target." And it was an easy merge vote for everyone. And Tristan essentially went out. And I think Tristan is that type of player who can do really well. He's very smart. He's not as active, but when he is active, he's winning challenges. He does, like Mike, his placements are all over the board, can go really far. He's won games. He's also been like first, second booting games. So Tristan's definitely an interesting one for me, where I don't know how quite he'll do. I worry because I know Tristan tends to play a lot of games at once. If the balancing act more so with him. I played with Tristan many times. I know how good Tristan is in challenges. I think that is the main thing that could catch up to him is his challenge prowess. Is that people are gonna be like, oh, second he's not immune again. Like you take a shot at him. Like I think it's not uncommon for people to do, and especially here we do a lot of physical challenges, and I think he's definitely someone who can win a lot of those physical challenges.
So I don't really know Tristan that well. I know he just played Primetime, and I think is he still in Primetime? I think he
I
got
believe
up.
he is.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, he's doing well in that. So I'm just gonna kind of rely on what he said in his bio here. He basically said that like he wants to lower his threat level this time around. He's gonna try to not win as many challenges. He still wants his tribe to win, but he doesn't really want to necessarily be the one they have to rely on in order for him to win. So he's not nearly as big of a challenge threat in that way. Other than that, it doesn't really seem like he has too much of an idea of what he needs to do differently. I think the fact that like he's kind of all over the map in terms of placements, it's going to be interesting. So I don't really have much to say other than I hope Tristan does well. I hope he's able to get past 13th place, but we will really just have to see because I wish I had to say more, but I really don't know the guy. So go ahead, Peter. Maybe you know more about him.
Sorry, it's refilling my water.
No, I was just saying,
fine.
Tristan, unfortunately for me, is giving off vibes of he's going to finish right around 15th, 14th again. He's got no BS challenge going on right now. He's got prime time going on, and he's got this game. I feel like he's going to be one of those where early on he won't be targeted because he's going to carry his team in challenges. Once we start getting into the individual portion a little bit more, people will wait for him to slip up / not be as active, and you'll see Tristan go right in that 15 to 13 range. I think he'll be the early on favorite to win in the first battle back. But I don't think he actually wins it, and I think he's one of those surprise people that people are kind of glad that lost the battle back come mid game.
All right, ready for the next one?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Bring me the next one. Next up is my personal winner pick, Andy Korb. Korb. He played in Rent. He plays sixth. He is a magician, 39 years old, reigning from Denton, Texas, and goes by he, him. So Andy is a very good player. I played against Andy. I played with Andy. And my Andy is probably one of the smartest players I've seen. The only problem I've seen Andy have is navigating those relationships and not making people feel burned by him. And in his season, I think he had a really good shot at winning. He just was behind a very obvious power duo that nobody saw. And everyone realized it was too late. And he went far in the game with the wrong people. And essentially, it cost him. As soon as Ava won that immunity, he was cooked. Because you had Dan and Peyton, who were never turning on each other. You had Dan and Nikki, who were never turning on each other. And then Kevin, you weren't turning on them at that point, if I'm not mistaken. Like, had Ava gone, I think he stands a chance, but he probably goes out of fifth. Like, he just didn't have a path to the end. I think had he gotten to the end, he had a very good shot at winning that season. It was just kind of, he wasn't around as much as he would like to be. But now he's coming in, I think, with the really good. He's like, I haven't played in a while. He's changed a lot. He realizes what he did wrong. He's very self-aware, and I think that's a big plus in these games. Is I think Andy has learned a lot from what he's done wrong. Andy has won games. Andy could win this game very easily. I don't think anyone's going to target him. It's very I don't think many of these people know Andy. I think that benefits Andy because Andy has a reputation. My fellow villain of metal. He, like I said, from playing with him, a while back, we sent him out first because we know that Andy can cause chaos. And I don't think Andy's going to cause chaos this game. I think he's going to play very well back. He said he wants to find a ride or die and have someone who's going to ride with him that he knows he can beat, essentially. I think he's going to do very well this season.
Yeah, I have a lot of high hopes for Andy. And finally, someone I can actually talk about because I played with him. I think the thing with Andy is that, I was in an alliance with him in Rent and things like that. And he was someone that, I trusted for the most part, but it really did come down to the fact that there was a certain point where I'm like, I'm riding with this alliance with like Dan and Andy and Nikki and things like that. But at the same time, I know that Dan is in a position where he's going to win the game. At that point, I really did not see Ava's game. I just saw Ava as someone I wanted to work with. And I knew that Andy was like coming for Ava and saying like, oh, Ava's going to win the game and things like that. And it's like, I need Ava to make this move against Dan eventually. So Andy needed to kind of go there as a result. And I think that, yeah, I think the issue really is that he didn't have that close ally at that point. He wasn't really in a position where people were willing to save him. The people that did, just didn't have the upper hand at that point. People were just willing to kind of let him go. I believe the vote was very close when he
3-2-1. 3-2-1.
Okay, yeah.
He did misjudge how close Nikki was to Dan.
Yeah,
that was his mistake.
Yeah, which I kind of didn't realize that either at the time. And that really did fuck things up. And I think that Andy was somebody that I definitely wanted to keep around. But it really just came down to the fact that like his game just didn't align with mine, and I think that's kind of why he ended up going when he did. But this is not a rites of passage. This is a cast assessment. So let's go ahead and talk about how I think he's going to do on this season, because I agree with you. I think there are very few avenues where I do not see him at least making it to Final Four. At least. I think he has such a good idea of what he needs to do. Find that person, get close to that person, but make sure that that is somebody that can bolster his game and somebody that, you know, he can get the right information from, someone that like he can rely on, and someone that's only going to make him a stronger player and weaken that person as a result. I also think he's coming into a tribe where I think he's going to do really well on that tribe. I think, you know, there's a lot of people that I could definitely see him connecting with. I think I definitely see Andy in a position where it's like, I just feel really good with Andy. I want to work with him. I see him as somebody that, you know, really is like vouching for me. I think he's really going to like put himself out there and, you know, be somebody that everyone just feels so good with, that it's going to almost be like AJ on his tribe last season, where everyone just feels so good with him. They're never going to be able to realize how well insulated he is. And he's just going to get very far as a result. So yeah, I mean, I just feel really good about Andy. I don't really have many qualms when it comes to, you know, what I think he's going in for. I think he knows what to do. I think really my only concern is if people start to realize the game that he's playing, but I think he's going in with the right mindset, that like he's picking his people early on, and that's really going to help him get farther. So yeah, I mean, I really do think Andy is by far one of the people that has the best chance to win this game, maybe even does end up winning this game. So yeah, I feel very good about him.
Yeah, I just say Andy, for me, he takes two awards in my book. I say by the time you get to like final 12, 14, he's going to be the person with the most final two deals.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Just with how well he makes people feel. I also feel like he's going to be the unlucky recipient of the Jester Award for most likely to be in a forced romance with Jester. Just based off of who we've given Jester as his original tribe mates, I feel like Jester is going to try to cling to him. So that would be my only warning to Andy is watch out. Jester can either take you far or sink you fast. So be prepared.
I also think Andy will do really well on his starting tribe, because you do have Jester and Alex Mundy, who we'll get to later, who are very messy players. And I think that is something Andy doesn't deal with. And I think it's something that a lot of people will not put up on their tribe. And
yeah, he's a very logical player.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get to the next person, also maybe from Rent.
Yes. Next up, we have Melissa. She played in Rent, and she did play one of her minis, but you know what? It's fine. It was a shorter mini, so yeah. Her occupation is an Augur. She plays 12th in that season. She is 48. Her location is Florida, and her pronouns are she, her. So Melissa is an interesting one, because I don't feel like she was ever in a bad position. I feel like she was just not as active as I seen her to be, like I know her to be. And I think it kind of bit her where, you know, Kevin, you were on that tribe. You and Dan just kind of turned on her. She wasn't that like a bad position. It was just kind of like, well, we connected with this other person a little bit better. I think she was pretty safe on that original Larson tribe. I think that was the name of it. Yeah. I think she is an interesting one because she is a very good player. She's very smart, very good at challenges. And she if she puts the time into it, she is pretty social. I mean, Melissa, I think I saw her right before she played Rent. She won like 9 games in a row. Like, Melissa is a dark horse. Like, a lot of people don't really see Melissa as a threat, but Melissa is a huge threat. Like,
Yeah,
Melissa probably would have won the last mini if she got to the end. Like,
probably.
people don't see Melissa as a threat, and it benefits her. And I don't know why they don't see her as a threat, but I mean that just speaks to how good she is, because she is an amazing player, and I will say that. Like, I am so happy she's playing again.
Yeah, Melissa's one of the ones I actually know fairly well for a couple reasons. One, I obviously played with her in my season. And I think that, yeah, like you said, I don't think she particularly did anything wrong. It really just came down to the fact that, like, Dan and I were in a position where, on one hand, you had, I believe, Nikki and Peyton at that time, who were just a lot more social compared to Melissa and Rachel, who just weren't really giving us much of anything and felt like they were people we could just take out whenever. And so it kind of just came down to the fact that, like, do we go with Melissa, somebody that, we think could be somewhat beneficial for us, but maybe won't be the most active, and someone that isn't really going to help us, versus Nikki and Peyton, who are really, kind of sticking their neck out and really giving us a lot of compelling points. And that's ultimately why she had to go. But I've also hosted Melissa. I hosted her in a game. Now, granted, the game, not the most strategic game. There really were only a couple people that were actively playing, but Melissa was definitely one of those people. And the thing that she does really well, I think, is she's very good at drawing people in and making you feel good with her, making you feel like she has your best interest, that she's someone that you can rely on, someone that, like, you see her as a really good ally. Even if in reality she's thinking about cutting you, you won't be able to realize that she's doing it until she does, because she's just very good at drawing people in. And I think that's
easy to talk to.
Oh yeah,
very easy to talk to.
Very easy to talk to, definitely. Like, that's what she does really well. She's not someone who is an overly assertive player. She's someone who, if she has negative feelings about somebody in a game, she's probably not going to tell you specifically she has those feelings. And that's what makes her a really dangerous threat in these games. And then when you go to the mini that she played, I think that she did really well in that as well. And I do agree with you. I think if she gets to the end, like, if she gets to the end, she might have honestly won, especially with the spot that she was in, having that safety without power and, being able to use it in the way that she did. I think overall, like, she is coming in a really good spot. I think she will by far be one of the most well-positioned on her tribe. I think she's definitely going to make it a lot farther this time. I think, again, Rent was just one of those circumstances where she just wasn't as active as she is. But seeing a Melissa that has been active, I think she's going to do really well here. I think she's going to find her people. I think she's going to be well connected. No one's really going to consider going for her until probably the merge, and either it's going to work out or it's going to fail miserably, and they're just going to end up taking the fall for it, like what happened on the mini. So we'll really just have to see. I think she has a lot of potential. I think that she's a really great player, and I think that she's definitely going to make it a lot farther this time. I don't know exactly how far, but I think she at least makes single digits this time, if not farther.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, I'll first candidly say I don't know Melissa very well from the community, just based off of her pregame talk and analysis. I mean, I feel like she's kind of my winner of Too Little Too Late award, where she's kind of like Gigi and Amy were last season, where, she's got some cannon fodder on her tribe to where if things go bad right off the bat, she's not going to be the first to go. I feel like she's going to get to that mid-game towards the end game, and people are going to start saying, we really don't know where Melissa's at. She's not really in a tight tribe with anybody. She's not in a tight alliance. I think she's going to be one of those. She's going to sit there at 7-6 saying she wants to make a move, but find she just doesn't have the numbers to make the move by that point.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it worries me only slightly that she finished 12th last time, and she said she doesn't plan on changing anything for her game.
I did see that. That's kind of crazy. But she did say she does want to make merge. So, merge wasn't at that point. So, merge will be at 12th this time. So she will, if she gets 12th again, she will at least make merge. So.
Yes, this is true.
All right. Let's see who's next.
Next up is Danielle.
Oh, the people I don't know from Rent.
She played Rent. She played in Rent. She is a medical assistant, a surgical coordinator. She finished 15th. She is 30. She's from New Jersey. Actually, a very good friend of mine I went to college with. Apparently, her. So this was Danielle's very first game. She actually was like, oh, hey, like, I'm into Survivor. And I was like, oh, she just mentioned it. Like, I mentioned Survivor, like, how I like it. We were just talking one day, and she's like, oh, I started watching that. I was like, oh, did you? And I recruited her. And then she played this. Wasn't the most social, was a kind of a beast in challenges. Like she did all the challenges fairly well. The thing was Danielle, like she played another game, was the first boot because she wasn't really active, but then she went and played Superstar and she found a really strong duo partner and went eighth. The problem was that duo partner was just very, very strong, and they had to take out their partner, that person's partner in crime. I think Danielle is smart. She knows what she has to do. I'm curious. I think Danielle is definitely a person people could sleep on. I could see Danielle going far just because she knows how she messed up in her first two games, and she took that to another game, and like I said, placed eighth. So she went from 15th to like 19th, or no, 15th to 16th because of the 16-person cast to eighth place, which I think is quite an impressive feat.
Yeah.
I think she knows what she does wrong. I think she was talking to me like after that game. She's like, the next game I'm going to be in, I'm going to be very social, and that was Superstar, and she did go far. I think I worry is that Danielle does work a lot. I don't know how that'll affect her, but I mean, if Danielle can survive early, I think she's someone who could kind of sneak by in the merge because no one will really see her as threatening, and like people will merge. And I think Danielle's one of those people who can kind of duck, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't. So obviously, I played Ren. I was not on a tribe with Danielle on my season, so I don't really know how she played in that. Aside from what you said, what I can say is that I have seen her play other games, not really actively following them, but noticing that, okay, she did actually get a bit further. She has been doing better as a player. And I think as a result of that, I do think she is going to do better on this season. I think she knows more of what she needs to do now if she's a little bit more social, but she's also really good at challenges, it seems. And she's on the Braun tribe, and I feel like she is going to do fairly well on that tribe. And I think that she is definitely going to be someone that it's kind of similar to Christine. Like, people aren't going to see her as this really big threat. She's kind of going to slip by. Maybe she does really well in challenges, but people just aren't really going to see the game that she's playing, and she's going to be able to get really far as a result. So I feel really good about her. I think that, she placed eighth in one game, especially. I think she could definitely make it that far here, maybe even a little further. It just seems like she's going in, like, knowing what she needs to do. And I feel like, again, like I said, with multiple people, I think that's something that's really good going into a second chances game. So yeah, overall, I think Danielle, out of the people in Rent, is probably one of the people I have the most confidence in. So I think she has a lot of potential. And also, of course, love the Jersey representation. Don't let us down.
So I gotta say, this is probably going to be an upset pick, but I'm saying Danielle is probably our messiest player of the season.
Okay.
And she manages to come in second. And here's why. Just I don't know a whole lot about Danielle. When I saw we had a 15th place to come back, I was kind of skeptical. But anybody who wants to team up with Anthony Orgs and Brandon Haycock as the two allies in the game.
I did see that. Yeah.
Like, let me tell you, from hosting one of them and playing with the other, those are two completely opposite spectrums when it comes to gameplay. And that just screams to me, I'm ready to be messy. I'm ready to take on the messy players. I'm ready to take on the strategic players. And I'm going to snatch your wigs and steal your belt buckles. And I'm going to sit there at the end and lose to somebody who probably shouldn't win over me. But there's going to be too many hurt feelings on the jury for me to get the win.
I could see it. That is a weird combination. Brandon, who played last season, we saw.
I completely missed that until you said it.
Yeah, Brandon, who played last season, that is quite interesting. Dude, that is
That's
quite
wild.
interesting.
Has Anthony even played this game?
No.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think so. All right, let's see who's next.
Next up is Nicole. She also played Rent. She is an occupation that I'm completely jealous of, a professional Disney adult. She plays 16th. She's 30, from Florida, and goes by she, her pronouns. Nicole is an interesting one because I played Nicole. She played fifth. She plays fifth in that game. Nicole was just also first boot in a game. Nicole is one of those where she can be active, she cannot be active. Like, she is very much a wild card. I have no idea Nicole does. I mean, I know Nicole is a good player. I've seen Nicole win a game in the last year. If she's there, she plays. I think something Nicole has going for her is like when we sent her the invite, she's like, "Oh my god, a great show and my favorite."
Yeah,
and I think that helps Nicole because she's really into the theme. Nicole is just one of those players where like sometimes she's not as active, and does that hurt her? I don't think so, but I also know how great Nicole can be when she is around and playing hard and everything.
Yeah, again, another Rent alum that I don't really have much to say about because we were not on a tribe together. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Nicole, from what I've seen, kind of a hit or miss player, definitely has some really good traits about her in terms of she knows what she needs to do to win. It really just comes down to like, is she going to put the effort in? I think she will put the effort into this. She seems very excited about this game. I would argue one of the people most excited to play the game, especially based on how she reacted when we sent her the invite. So, I think she has that going for her. But I also think she is somebody that, again, is going to be well positioned on her tribe. I can definitely see her being a really good like social player. I can see her connecting with people fairly well. I am going to go to her right up here and see what she said. She just said that she wants to put more time and energy into playing. And I think that, again, it's really what she needs to do. From what I understand on this season, she was not the most active. So if she puts even a modicum more of efforts into the game, I definitely think she's going to get farther.
Because the person we'll talk about next actually botched a slide puzzle. There's a reason that tribe went to tribal. The problem is no one just felt connected to Nicole. And those three girls, Molly, Ava, and Nikki, were just running that tribe. If you look at those three, like those three were just automatically.
That makes sense. No, that makes sense.
Three automatically running the tribe, and they were just like, "Well, we feel more connected to Dex. Dex messed up the challenge for us, but again, and reasonably so. No one thought you were be in those small tribes for a long time.
Yeah.
So they kind of picked the person to be more loyal to them. Unfortunately, the person had to leave the game, but yeah, I think. Nicole just kind of got the odd end of the stick where she was a little more social. That might have pushed her over the edge over Dex just because Dex did mess up that challenge for them.
Yeah, for me, I really want to place Nicole higher. I mean, anyone whose pronouns are that bitch, like, ought to be higher up in a finalist. I feel like it's going to be hard for her to make it past like top 16. I feel like if the girls can get together early on, I feel like she makes it through at least the first swap. But once you get to 18, 17, 16, I just feel like she's not going to have enough social pool to pull. And her just going AFK on just random streaks really hurts in a lot of games that I've watched her play. So if she's really committed to it, maybe she gets past 16th, but I would be surprised if she gets past the 16th mark.
Okay. I think she could be towards later pre-merge, early pre-merge, if I'd be honest.
I could definitely see that. All right. Well, what's better than 16th than
17th? We have
I do think it's really funny. 15th, 16th, 17th all in a row.
Yeah. I think it's really funny, as I call him, Rogue, as I know him as Rogue Vote Dex. He played in Rent. His occupation is cop. He's 27 in New York City, and his pronouns are he, him. So Dex is an interesting one. Dex had a disclosed, but did have personal reasons that he had pulled from the game. My problem with Dex is I think Dex is very good socially. People like Dex. He's really funny. The problem is I see Dex go. I don't know if I've seen a game where I've seen Dex get past 12th place. Dex tends to go early pre-merge at the most. I could be very wrong in this, but I've not seen many games where Dex goes far. I think if Dex goes far, he could be a dark horse because he's so likable. I just think it's a matter of getting Dex. I was a victim of getting him out because I knew how connected he was and how much people liked him. And I was like, well, now's a chance to get him out. And I convinced people to flip on him. I just wonder, how far Dex can go because I've not seen him go very far in a lot of games.
Yeah, I don't really know Dex that well either, but the games I have seen him in, he typically goes out fairly early. He tends to be somebody that is a bit of a messy player. He's someone who, I know he just played like Distortion recently, and he kind of was like, someone that people saw as like a threat in that, and that's why he kind of ended up going there. Other than that, I don't really have much to go off of. He didn't give us a write up either for like how he plans to play in this season. So I really don't have much to say. Yet another person from Rent I was not in a tribe with, so therefore I really don't have much other than I hope he does better than 17th. So go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I hate to pour on the guy because it's been all negative so far for him, but he's giving me I'm the 24th finisher, and I only realized the game has started once I got the you have a second chance note.
You can see that.
Um, Unfortunately, with what Beauty's going to be, we expect him to go early and often. I think Taco Tony is going to be likable enough to where the girls want to keep Taco Tony as a number. I think they'll keep Blake around for Tribe's strength. I just think Dex will be on the out.
Yeah.
And just the
Besides
vibes
Gabby,
he's
he
giving.
definitely is like in the worst position on that tribe.
As I say, he's going to need a Nicole or Gabby to just be AFK all through opening weekend and cost the team big in order to really make it, really, in my opinion, past 24, 23rd. Either that or pull out some crazy challenge number, but I just can't say I have a great outlook for him. But you never know. Maybe he's a pleasant surprise of the season.
Yeah. All he can do is surprise us. All right. Next person.
Next person is the person in Radical besides Melissa, the only to go out with only one vote. Taco Tony is an
Goddamn
interesting one
Taco Tony.
because Taco Tony is a chaotic mess, and we love it for him. So interesting. So Taco Tony played an idol as a pre-vote advantage and was supposed to go out. So just to go briefly, season Matilda, he occupation is a YouTuber.
Hell yeah.
Age 39. He's 10th. He plays 10th from Evansville, Indiana, and he goes by him. Yeah, so Tony had that idol. It got re-hidden. And yeah. He got it got him out of odds. So they completely iced out Liz Thornberry and there was a split vote between Ryan Cunliffe and he shall not be named. And then Robert had a rogue vote thrown on him and was scared that two idols got played and had one vote on him. And he played an idol. And it was a 5-2-1-1 vote. And Taco Tony got sent out with one vote. So very interesting. He, like I said, Liz Thornberry made a whole ass move by getting him out. But yeah, it was interesting because he is somebody who's hilarious. And I think he could do well if he connects to people. The problem is, I just think that tribe is very social. I could see him going really, really far, or kind of being like Peter said, him and Dex being that 24th, 23rd. That tribe doesn't do well. I think I see him going towards earlier. I like Tony. I think he's Taco Tony. He's hilarious. I just worry about him in those early days. I don't see a very good avenue with him, honestly.
So I've seen Taco Tony play before. I've definitely paid attention to his season. My ex may or may not have been on it, but so that's why I was paying attention. But yeah, he is a very chaotic player from what I've seen. And I mean, literally, you look at his bio, it just says like, what does he want to do differently? It says slay and go beast mode. So like, this guy is gonna be like an absolute like just like crackhead in this game. Like he's gonna go balls to the wall. It's gonna be absolutely insane. And is that going to work out for him? I don't know. I can definitely see a scenario where, like we talked about before, I think there are going to be people on that tribe that are a little less connected than him. I think he's going to do really well socially. It just comes down to like, does his style of gameplay match everybody else's? Is he somebody that is really over the top and he has other people on his tribe that are over the top and he ends up doing well as a result of that? Or is he too over the top where it's like, we got to take the guy out and then he ends up going out? I feel like 10th place might just end up getting that again. I could definitely see that for him, or I could see him going a little bit earlier than that. So I really don't know how he's going to do, but I think no matter what happens, like I think guarantee he's going to make one of the biggest impressions on the season. No matter how he does, I will not be surprised if we're sitting here at the end of the season and saying Taco Tony was one of the biggest characters. He caused so much chaos and he was so much fun to watch. I don't know how if that translates to him doing well in the game and how that's going to work out for him. But I think no matter what, he's going to leave a massive impression. I'm just really excited to see what he does. So we'll have to see. I have no idea how he's going to do placement wise. I'm just very excited to host him. So Peter, go ahead.
So Taco Tony gets my award for most likely to be the fire-making loser of this season.
Okay.
One thing about Taco Tony is he's the one taco shell you cannot crunch in games. I truly think Beauty's going to have some struggles early on. I think you see Dex and you see Blake go early.
Yeah.
I think Tony manages to escape the early craziness. and I think he proves himself to be a loyal number. Just from playing with Tony in previous games, he's shown people that he can be a number if you put your loyalty into him, and then he'll just ride with you the rest of the way. And I think some of these tribes that won't lose people early on will want that number more and see Tony as less of a challenge threat. I will personally be shocked if Tony manages to escape the early days of beauty. I think there's no way Tony finishes any worse than like 8th or 7th place.
Mhm.
And I truthfully think he's top 5 at worst. So
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
So speaking of an idol out person,
Yes.
Peter, I'll let you go first with this person because they saved you with an idol. Go
Oh
ahead.
no, we have one more person from
Oh,
Matilda.
do we? Yes,
Yeah.
Matilda. Yeah, go ahead. Yes,
We have
next up
so many
have-
Matilda representatives.
Yes, we have from Matilda. We have Brian Brown. He is a housekeeping utility worker, 31 from Maryland, and goes by he/him. Brian's an interesting one. He was kind of active. He just was on that terrible Lavender tribe with Tony, actually, and that tribe did not catch a break. And Brian
They
was
went
kinda
every
saying-
round.
Yeah, and and to this day, I kind of don't understand why Brian was voted out over Galen, who was significantly less active. He was sent out of the safety out with the power in his pocket. He was blindsided. I think he's a good player. I'm very interested to watch. I don't know much about Brian. I'm still, like I said, still very confused why he went out when he did. So it'll be interesting to see him play this time. And I think on this tribe, he is one of the more level-headed ones, which I think does help him.
Level-headed, I would definitely agree with. I think he even says in his bio here that like he plans to be a bit more social and develop relationships. So Brian's an interesting one, I think, because I don't really know much of how he plays. I was on a prod team with him. Very nice guy, very easy to talk to. In terms of gameplay, though, I'm really not sure how he is going to do. I do think he's on a tribe to where I think there are at least a few more people that are going to go before him. And I think that's definitely going to work out for him. I also don't see Brains going to tribal that often. I think that tribe is pretty stacked in terms of who you got on there. So I think he's going to do fairly well. If he isn't, my only concern is that I just worry he's not going to be the most active. Preseason, he has not really been that active, and I feel like that definitely could hurt him in the game if he has that same inactivity. But if he does put effort in, I think he could definitely go a little bit further. I think he'll definitely do better than 16th place. But we really will just have to see. Don't really have much else to say other than hope he does well. And yeah, go ahead, Peter.
I say everything real quick before you go. Everything I've heard about him, he's a very smart player. So
yeah, he definitely does seem like someone who like has his finger on the pulse when he needs to.
So I would say I haven't heard of Brian before the season, so I can't say I've really ever seen him before or played with him before. Based just off of his tribe and the way he's talked, I feel like he's giving me Major Cyrus vibes for my season. I feel like just starting out with like he's going to be a steady voice for people like Jester and Dustin and Steve and Andy. I feel like he's probably going to end up getting scapegoated. I feel like somewhere between the 11 to 8 range, those types of personalities that are still in the game are going to pin it on him to be the sensible one and the one that's most likely to be a threat towards the end. So I think he probably gets sniped in that 12 to 9 range. But overall, I think he has a decent chance. His video shows that he definitely has some personality to him, so
Yeah.
I hope it comes out.
One of the best action shots for sure. We'll agree.
But so we'll see.
All right. Now I think we go to someone that Peter might have something to say about.
all right, I'll introduce them and then
All right.
next up, go ahead, click it. Next up, we have Jester, who played Dearborn Hansen. He plays third. He's a casino dealer, age 27, from San Jose, California, and he goes by he and pronouns. Go ahead, Peter.
So Jester is my most likely to get the same placement as last time and get the same result. I honestly think he'll probably be a 0 vote finalist in final 3. I feel like early on, just with who he's got, he's gonna flirt it up with Andy. He's gonna have a relationship with Dustin. He's gonna have a relationship with Brian. Tyler W. He's probably gonna get annoyed with. Alex, he may or may not butt heads with. I feel like he's gonna have Lindsay's trust. So I feel like he's one of those people that's going to get further in the game, and he's just going to be seen as an annoying personality that, while logical, like people just take him as the joke again. So I feel like he's going to be someone who ends up taking on Taco Tony in the fire making and beats Taco Tony, but that doesn't actually gain him a whole lot in the end. So I think he finishes third with 0 votes because there's not an Eric to give him one this time.
I will say I've played the Jester quite a few times now. I played, I think 2 actively. So I played cups with him in China the first time, all over the place. Just he's Jester. Like he just is super chaotic and this overly chaotic player. I think people, and then he played our game overly chaotic, and people took him as a joke. Like he just was all over the place, and no one took him seriously. And then Cups All Stars, he was also very chaotic. I don't think Jester knows how to not play a chaotic game, which love that for him. But I think Jester is either somebody who you see go out very early because people are sick of him that quickly, or he goes very far and, like Peter says, gets 0 votes because people are like, all right, what are you doing? Like, there's kind of no middle ground with Jester per se.
Watch out for the super quad of Taco, Tony, Jester, Danielle, and Julia. Those are my 4 finalists right there.
Okay.
Watch out, ladies and gentlemen.
That is a chaotic mess. That is a chaotic mess, and I love it.
That would be insane if that happened. But yeah, Jester's one of the people on this cast that I've known the longest. I've known him since like 2020. Definitely someone I consider a good friend of mine. And always rooting for him. Do I think he's gonna do well here? Not really, to be honest. I really don't feel great about his chances because the way I kind of look at it is, yes, I do think he is messy. Yes, I don't think people take him seriously, but with the tribe that he's on, I could easily see them getting annoyed. I could see this being a tribe that is like fairly level-headed, and then there's just all this chaos. And the problem with Jester is like, you can be chaotic, but there's a way to do that and it be controlled and it feel like it has a purpose. A lot of the times with Jester, he's just messy to be messy. It doesn't have much of a purpose. And I think that really is what hurts him. Like you can do things that are a bit flashy, but that puts you in a good position. He just kind of does things to just kind of just be chaotic. And that's great to watch, obviously, as probably. I'm really excited to see what kind of shit he ends up doing. But do I think that's going to translate to longevity in the game? I really don't. I think if Brains goes to Tribal, I think he's probably the top contender to go, to be honest with you. I don't really feel great about his chances. I think that there are some people I could maybe see him connecting with, but if he regroups with any of the people he played on his season, I don't know how that's going to go for him. I don't know, especially with like Steve on his tribe and things like that. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't really feel great about his chances. I think he's just kind of in a spot where, especially the fact that like he said he doesn't want to do anything differently than he did in his last season, and he was a 0 vote finalist. Like
we got 1 vote.
1 vote finalist. A 1 vote finalist is crazy to me. Like knowing that like this is how you did your final tribal, and yet you're gonna do the exact same thing. It just, I don't know. It's not looking great for Jester. It's really not. Like I'm hoping he does well, but I don't see it.
So here's my prediction of what saves him early on.
Okay.
Looking at this 8 people in the Brains tribe, I think Jester finds their tribe idol first.
Okay, that might, yeah, I could see that.
I think Jester plays an early idol and takes out either a Steve or an Andy or a Lynn, someone who's a little bit more level-headed.
Okay.
And then he's able to pull in some of the more chaotic people in the tribe, like a Dustin, like a Brian in a way.
Maybe we'll see.
My prediction for Jester is that he gets chaotic during the tether twist and he screws over his partner in the process.
Yeah, that seems like ripe for Jester.
I say Jester is going to be the most annoying in the Awake-a-thon for all the production.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All
right. Next person, also someone Peter might be.
Yes, the Alana of the season, as Peter likes to call her. We have Bree Jasper. Occupation is personal care attendant. She plays 7th, 26 from Maine, and goes by she, her pronouns. Bree is an interesting one. That was her first game, and she very well could have won it if she got to the end. Because she got rocked out, completely screwed, lost her vote in the process from Ghost Island, and went out on rocks, and she didn't know what rocks was until 20 seconds before that wheel spun on her.
God.
But she didn't really watch Survivor. A good friend of mine, Evan, recommended her, and Yeah, and then I played another game with her, and she went out and fire. So, and then I believe she just played Superstar last season and finally got voted out.
No.
But I mean, she played her first two games and got seventh and fifth and fourth, and both those times did not get voted out. And as far as I know, in both those games, she did not get her name written down, which I think speaks wonders to how Brie plays. I think she is a dark horse. She go very far again. She's quite likable. I don't think anyone has ever said a bad thing about Brie. That was exactly why she's going to win her season. She was very underneath the radar, and I think um, they got very lucky that she went out on rocks because if she survives that, I don't see a path where Brie doesn't win the game. Peter, I'll let you go next.
Yeah, Bree and Becky, I feel like have the same arc in this game for me. I mean, what's first going to matter is how invested in Superstar is she when this game starts.
Mhm.
If she's very much emotionally tied to that one over this one, I could see her being in trouble early on Beauty if things don't pan out the way I think they're going to. That being said, I feel like if she does manage to get in with the group of five, I feel like she's probably the last one surviving out of that group of five. I feel like her and Taco Tony are probably the last two beauties standing in the game.
I can see
Um,
that.
Based off of where she is, I feel like she's probably in that like 17 to 12 range. Just because I feel like once you get swapped, she's going to be someone who, at least in my season, like she had her people, but then she didn't do a ton of talking outside of it. I could see that sniping her a little bit, especially if you have some more messy personalities trying to pick numbers up. I know Jester wasn't a fan of hers. I know Nicole was a half fan of hers. So it'll kind of depend on where she ends up and if the tribes get swapped. Does she have any numbers left from that group of five, or has she been decimated to only have one or two people from the original tribe, which I think could put her at a real disadvantage?
Yeah, I feel kind of similar to Jay, where it's like I think the fact that she's played two games and did not have her name written down either game and went out on rocks is absolutely insane. And there's not many players that can say that. And I think that that is something that is a testament to how good of a player she really is. So I feel like she's coming in here in a really interesting spot where it's like there's not really much else I have to do differently other than just not go to rocks on a boat and maybe I'll survive. And you know, she said in her thing here that like she learned to not be as trusting as a player, though more with her gut than like for her game. So that could be kind of interesting. Apparently, she wants to see Peter play again. I don't know if she's going to get her wish there, but she is going to get her wish because she wants to see Nicole again. So that's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out. I do think she's in kind of a similar spot to Christine, though, where it's like people aren't really going to see the game that she's playing. You do have Nicole on that. Oh, that's the other Nicole. The other Nicole's on the Nicole she played was on a different tribe. But I do think that she is in a really good spot. I could definitely see her going fair. I could definitely see her going very far in this game. Is she going to get seventh again? I'm not really sure. But again, I think the fact that again we gotta be cognizant of like just the placements she's had in other games and the fact that she's really only gotten voted out in one game before. I think that just really says a lot about how good of a player she really can be. I definitely see her being very social on her tribe. I definitely see her like making the connection she needs to. So yeah, she's definitely someone that like I feel fairly good about. I think she at least gets like close to that to seventh. I don't know if she gets past seventh or if she gets seventh again. I could at least see her getting close to that. So yeah, overall I feel fairly good about her.
And there's no lose your vote twist. So
Yeah.
I say my only fear with Bree at this point is I feel like if Blake or Gabby find the idol early on before Bree does, I feel like she could be one of those possible snipe targets in the early on beauty side of people will think she's too like she's in a good spot to where
I
she
think
may be
Dex just
someone
goes
snipe
there.
with. Well, in my mock, I have Dex going first.
Oh, okay.
So
That's true. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll go by Peter's headcanon there. Anyway, let's go with the next person.
yes, next up we have
Someone we just talked
Nicole.
about.
Her occupation is customer service. She placed 11th, 32 from Arizona, and goes by she/her pronouns. Nicole is an interesting one because I think Nicole is a very good player when she when she puts her head to it. I've seen her do very well in games. I also know Nicole loves her Podmore pop offs. If her name's out there, she decides. I notice she pops off a little bit, and rather than tries to do something sometimes. I think she works really hard. She does try to do something, but it's a matter if she can tone down a bit more so. I think she's a very good player. She could go very far. I think she's someone who'd be pretty underrated in this season. I think it works to her benefit. I love Nicole. Nicole is one of my favorite people I've ever played with. She is hilarious. She's pretty funny. She's easy to get along with. It's just a matter of how sometimes she's not the most active, and that could really bite her in the beginning.
Yeah, I don't really know this Nicole at all. The only thing I can really go off of is the fact that I did see her recently play primetime, and yeah, she did end up like having a pop off in that game, for lack of a better term. So the thing she talks about, the only thing, and it's actually funny when we asked her what she wants to do differently, the only thing she said was maybe a little less pop offs, and she said that she wants to try to make it a little bit further. I don't really know how she is going to do. I do think that she could be one of the more social people on her tribe, and I think that definitely could end up working out for her. Other than that, I think she's someone who can kind of go anywhere. The fact that she is somebody that, is willing to, call things out and things like that. Again, it's kind of similar to Kenzie, where it's like, is that something that the tribe is receptive to, or is that something that pisses people off? We'll really just have to see. But overall, I'm definitely excited to see her. I wish I had more to say, but I really don't know how else she's going to do.
Yeah, I feel like Nicole could be one of those people that could surprise me. I mean, I've only
Yeah.
played with her just the one time, and that one time was the time she popped off. Um, just in my head canon of where I think people are falling, I don't feel like I feel like if her name gets thrown out there, I feel like the Danielles, the Julias, and Melissas aren't gonna have her back if she starts to have a pod more pop off.
Yeah.
None of them seem to be players that want to be with an overly vocal player. So if she can tone that back in more so than she did with Dev and Henson, I think she has a good shot to make it further. But if she lets that side of her go, I don't see a shelf life in the game lasting very long. I also feel like her during the duos twist could be a very interesting thing depending on who she gets paired with.
Agreed.
All right.
Next up, we have Steve from Dear Evan Hansen. He's a teacher. He plays 13th, 46, or as he says, old, from Canada, and his pronouns are he, him. Steve is a very good player. Steve is somebody who can go far, goes far in a lot of games. Steve is somebody who, if he makes it far, will not be able to articulate his game very well, as I've seen. I do think Steve is very smart, very level-headed. When I played with him, he was someone I trusted a lot, someone I can exchange information with. I think we'll see Steve go make it to merge easily, because I think, especially in his tribe, he'll be okay. He'll be one of the people not involved in the mess. If with that tribe, I think Steve is pretty social. I think Steve can make. I would say he's pretty a contender for a deep run. He's someone to watch out for. He kind of just got swap screwed in his original season, and that's what it came down to.
Yeah. Oh, Peter, go ahead if you were going to talk.
I was just gonna say, so Steve is definitely gonna be in the Beard Brothers alliance with Andy. I feel like
And
he's gonna be
Dustin, don't forget
Andy's-
Dustin.
and Dustin. I feel like you're definitely gonna see them be a trio early on. My only fear for Steve is when Jester whips out an idol, or you have a move where something comes up. If Andy's not the auto target, I feel like Steve's the collateral number two. Steve has a good reputation of lasting long in games and kind of being that loyal like number two. He has a very similar game to Taco Tony. If you take away some of Taco Tony's just like messiness, so I could definitely see him making it far, but I can also see him ending up in that same like 20 to 12 range, just because he doesn't stand out enough and he gets sniped just as a following number.
Yeah, once again, I don't really know Steve all that well. What I will say is the level-headedness that you speak of, I think definitely comes through. You definitely can is evident in his response here. He kind of talks about the fact like he plays new every single time. If he sees people he enjoys working with, he'll do it again. And so he's a very like fluid player. It doesn't really seem like he has like one way of playing, and I think that's really good because if you have people that know how you've played before, maybe you're doing something completely different here and they're not able to clock it. He also talks about how he's going to try to find a few things to throw people off and he wants to try to make things interesting. So I do think he's definitely going to be one of the more level headed people on his tribe. And I don't know if that's going to be to his benefit or to his downfall. I definitely agree with you, Peter. Like, I see a situation where like Andy's doing something. I think Steve's the one that's blamed for it. I think I could definitely see it going in that direction. I think the two of them probably align, and I think Steve probably get like I think what Andy talks about like finding that ally. I think Steve could be that ally, and I think Steve takes the brunt of Andy's decisions in the game, and I think that could definitely end up hurting him. I do see him getting to merge. It's just I don't know if I see him getting past that. I definitely could see him being a merge boot of sorts, where it's like he's another one that's kind of similar to Brian, where it's like anything bad that happens, we can just pin it onto Steve. I could definitely see that being a thing. But again, I think the fact that he is willing to be fluid, he is willing to throw people off. I think those are all really good traits. So I think he is probably going to do better than he did last season. It's just a matter of how much better.
I will say this: I think Steve and Andy are the first two people to figure out how to play the advantage system correctly, and
Yeah.
they end up with a lot of the advantages this season.
I could see that. I could see that for sure. All right. I think, is that the last Jordan Hansen person? We'll see.
Yes, we're moving on to Dr. Harble.
Yes. All right. All people I know from here on out.
We have Alex Mundy. They go by they are a college student. They placed 8th. They are 20 from Indiana, and they go by they them pronouns. So I don't know much about Alex. I've seen them here and there, kind of throughout the community. I know when they played Dr. Harble, they were a last minute addition, and they woke up and they chose chaos. And that's all I know
To
about
say the
them.
least. To say the
They
least.
chose chaos, and it bit them very quickly. There was an easy target because the person decided to play Hellscape instead of playing that mini, and then people were just like, "Nah, I'm not dealing with this," and immediately took out Alex. Alex is a smart player, but they are also more messy than Jester, in my opinion. So I worry about them. I love them. I think they're entertaining. I think they'll be good TV. I just worry if they'll go very far. I know they are very busy with college too, so that could hurt them.
So I have a lot of pros and cons when it comes to Alex. First of all, I'll say right off the bat, I love Alex as a person. I hosted a game with them. They are a wonderful person. They are very passionate about what they do. Just a very, very easy person to talk to. And I did, of course, play Dr. Horrible with them. And I think I'm of two minds about the way they decided to go about that round because we had this like the two of us and Christopher Smith, we had this really great idea where we knew that Melissa had the safety without power. We were going to try to use that to what? Oh, knowledge is power. Yeah. We were going to try to use that to our advantage and try to like throw her off in some way. And it didn't really end up working. I think Alex just kind of said things at the wrong time. And I think as a result, they just kind of end up going there. And that's why the mini kind of played out. The rest of the mini kind of played out in the way that it did. And I do agree with what they say in their bio here. Like they were in a safe spot and they swung insanely too early. And, you know, they tried to jump ship from their original tribe. I do think it was probably a good idea in concept. I just think the way they went about it was not great. So I think if they can I think if they can have the right reads, but knowing the right time to strike, I think that can definitely work out better for them this time. I think the way that they play, a longer game is more their speed. They are more used to minis and they also host minis a lot. So my biggest concern with them is that they're just not going to be around very much. They have things going on with college. Like I said, they're in different groups with like playing minis and things like that. And so I just don't know if they're really going to have time for this game. And I can easily see a scenario where they are just picked off very early, not because they're doing anything messy, but just because they're not really around. They're not really connecting with people. But if they are around, then it comes down to do they have the allies that they need to pull off the moves that they want to make? You know that Alex is going to be someone that's always looking at what's happening, can always see, the targets in front of them, has very good reads on the game, but are they able to strike when they need to strike, or are they going to make the same mistake they did in Dr. Horrible? I honestly don't know. I'm hoping the best for them, but they're not entirely someone I'm very confident in, unfortunately. I wish I could say I think they're going to do really well, but just based on just how many commitments they have right now, coupled with the fact of what they end up doing in the mini, and also how I've seen them play in other games, I just don't know how far they're really going to go here. So I hope they do well, but they're probably someone that I do see going fairly early in the game, unfortunately. Peter, are you alive?
Yeah, I'm alive. My apologies.
Okay.
I'm doing some stuff in the kitchen in the background. So Alex is my MVP of the pre-merge. I feel like he's gonna be in a very dominant position. My apologies,
Yes.
I feel like they're gonna be in a dominant position with the brains. I feel like you're gonna get to right around that 15-14 range, and it's gonna be right on the eve of their trip to Ireland, and
Yep,
they're
that
gonna
too.
be checked out and get sniped. And then they will be happy because they're going to Ireland. So
Yeah.
I'd say I don't see a world where they really make it past 13th. If they do, I feel like it's going to be really hard for them to navigate the second half of the game being out of country, especially just in the fact of like you're out of country, you're going to have other obligations. So I feel like they're going to be somebody who plays hot and heavy early on, tries to leave a statement on the pre-merge, and then goes out right around the time of the Awake-a-thon at 14.
Yeah. I could see the tether twist also being a place where they go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be too. I could see that being Tyler W's downfall if he gets tethered to Alex.
Yeah. All right. Now the most current season.
Yes. Next up for Sweeney Todd, we have Linz, Human Resource Manager, 34, Columbus, Ohio. She, her, and she plays sixth. I'm curious about Linz. I think Linz got off to a slow start because she never played a Facebook game before, couldn't make chats, but ultimately became a dark horse to win that season. I think she just realized what she had to do too little, too late, and she was in a really good spot. I think had they let her get to the end, it would have been mistakes. I think they cut her at the right spot. Linz was in a really good position, had the shopkeepers, which we thought at one point was going to take over the game. I'm curious to see how Linz plays this time around now that she's got Facebook down. The only thing to worry about Linz is she is in like 2 or 3 games right now.
Yeah.
And that is a lot to manage, and juggling act I would not want to be a part of. But I think she is a very good player. I think she was very underestimated in her season. I think she had a good chance at winning it. But yeah.
Yeah, my favorite of last season right here. So, definitely rooting for her in that regard. Yeah, I mean, I like Linz a lot. I think that, she was definitely someone that towards the end was like, I think she could really take this. I think the problem with her is really that shopkeepers just ended up not really being a thing. AJ just kind of like didn't really put effort into that, kind of just focused on what the farmer, and Linz didn't really have that much of a chance as a result, unfortunately. And the thing with her, the thing that I think is really going to help her in this game is that she has Facebook down to a science at this point. She knows what she needs to do. She knows how to message people. She's not going to be struggling with all of that. I think that's definitely going to put her in a good position early on. And I think as a result, she's probably going to be someone that people get a lot more from. In her previous season, a lot of people were like, I like Linz. I just don't really get a lot from her. We don't call that often. I think we're going to see a lot more from her on this season. And I think she's going to do really well. Dustin, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, he's mentioned that he wants to link up with her. I think those two are probably going to become a duo on their tribe. I can definitely see them working closely together. I see her connecting with like Brian. I see her connecting with, and she's someone that is very easy to connect with, someone that's very easy to talk to. I think her only real downfall, and I've seen this now in both the game I host her in, I also noticed she was in Distortion. she's very agreeable as a player. And I think that is something that definitely does hurt her. Very often she's working with someone that is in like a powerful position. And because that she's a little too trusting towards that person and isn't really able to see the game that they're playing until it's a little too late. In Sweeney, it was very much AJ. In other games, I've seen her do it as well. And I think that she has the right reads. It just often it happens at the wrong time. And I think in Sweeney, like, she was starting to piece things together. Again, the problem was that she just didn't really have that group that she needed. I think in this game, if she can find that group early on and is then able to put the pieces together and get the person out at the time they need to go out, I can definitely see her doing a lot better in this game. I could even see her potentially winning in this game. I think that, she knows what she needs to do. She talked about in her thing that she plans to be a lot more social. So, she has people from last season that I think will definitely work with her as well. And I think there's other people that are going to connect with her. Like I said, I think she's just a very easy person to connect with. So yeah, overall, I think she's going to do really well. Again, it just really comes down to when she gets that correct information, does she have the right people to do something about it with? So I can see her either getting the same placement she did last time or maybe going a little bit further. So always room for Linz, hoping she does well here.
Yeah, so looking at Linda's spot, I mean, I feel like first and foremost, she's going to look at the production team and question what she did to be the only girl on a tribe of 8. um, I feel like she's definitely obviously
especially in the cast with a lot of women.
I say, on the cast with a lot of women being the only girl on the tribe, like especially when you have some of the chaos that is Dustin and Alex and Jester, like she may just look at us and question what she did last season to deserve this. I feel like I feel like the Brains is very much a duos tribe. I feel like you're gonna have Andy, Steve, Dustin, Brian, Alex, Jester. They're either gonna link up and be the ultimate ball of chaos, or they're gonna be at each other's throats the whole time.
I can see that.
I feel like she's gonna be in a good position to where she's probably somewhere between 9 and 6 overall.
Yeah, that tends to be her placement often.
As I say, I feel like she's gonna link up well with the others. I feel like she's gonna probably just have a similar route to where she ends up last game, where she kind of gets towards the end game, doesn't really have the numbers on her side. And while no one sees her as a real threat, no one really wants to sit at the end with her because she's someone who hasn't pissed off a lot of the jury, and still has some support to where she could win it. So she'd also be my dark horse for the second battle back of the season to come back in the game at 6.
I could definitely see that. All right, Jay, are you here? I don't think they're here.
I'm dealing with the spider for my boyfriend. Just
you're fine.
And I'll come talk. I'm listening though. So.
That's okay. Me and Kevin will move on to the next one.
All right. So next person, I think, is the person. Oh, no, not quite. All right. So next up, we have Julia. She is from Sweeney Todd. She is an event specialist and an actress. She is 32. She is from Wallingford, Connecticut, and she uses she, her pronouns. I will say right now, I feel really good about Julia's chances in this game. I think she is by far one of the people who knows exactly what she did wrong in her last game. What she did right. Let me start off with what she did right in her last game. She was very good socially. She knew what to say to people. She got in with people very well. You would get on a call with Julia. You'd feel really good with her. The problem is that as the game went on, she just kind of started to say the same thing to everybody. I like you a lot. I want to go to the end with you. You're someone that I would love to, play closely with. She didn't really do a good job of, yes, she had her alliance, but she didn't really make the connections outside of that. She had a couple people that had her back, but not in a way where they were willing to protect her. And I think that really did end up hurting her to where she just kind of became a scapegoat of Lane's antics, whether intentional or not. She was the one that took the fall for that. And it seems like coming into this game, she knows exactly what she needs to do. She's going to be a little bit better with holding back on information. She's going to be a little bit better with forming closer relationships with allies right off the bat. And so overall, I just feel really good about her chances. When she was on the reunion call for Sweeney Todd, I noticed that she was like she was asking a lot of questions about what she did wrong and kind of like piecing things together in her head. And I feel like other games I've seen her play since then, I mean, she's just done so well socially. So a lot of people, want her in their corner, and she does really well as a result of that. So yeah, I think Julia is one of the people that I honestly could see potentially winning this game. I think that she has the tools to succeed. Again, it's just, does she get in with those people? Does she hold back on information? She wanted to hold back on information last season, to be fair. It's just Brandon kind of forced it out of her with the idol and things like that, and that kind of ended up fucking her. But overall, I mean, I think that Julia has a really good chance here. I think out of the people in Sweeney Todd, she's definitely the person that like I have the most faith in, besides probably Lynn's. I think the two of them are probably going to do really well, but I think Julia might have the upper hand here with just how much effort she's put into really dissecting her game, figuring out what she did wrong, and knowing exactly what she needs to do this time around. I think she's also on a tribe that she's going to bond with a lot of different people on. I see things going very well for her. So yeah, she's definitely someone that like I could see being a real dark horse for sure.
Yeah, I'd say Julia, as I kind of mentioned, hinted at earlier, is my winner pick for the season. I feel
Yeah,
like her and Danielle were going to be the duo of the season,
I can
just
see that.
navigating a lot of the different other duos in the
Yeah.
game. My only real fear I have for her at this point is with all the messiness going around, one thing that kind of doomed her a little bit in Sweeney Todd is she wasn't always able to keep her story straight. And when
Yeah.
people pressured her about stuff that wasn't true, she didn't handle it well.
She's very
I,
bad when she's under pressure. I agree.
I just say I feel like when with her attitude of wanting to have learned from her first chance, I feel like she has the biggest redemption arc to have. And
Mhm.
in a game where you have Jesters and Alexes and Taco Tonys and Nicole F's who like are going to be people willing to run around and say, "Hey, Julia said my name." If she's truly able to hone in the "what did I say, what did I not," and build the relationships with people to have them know that she didn't do it, I feel like she's going to get to the end with a whole lot more friends and be able to sit there with a Jester and say, "Hey, look, you lied and spread rumors," and like, here I am, and I didn't.
Yeah. I think Julia is a really dark horse. I think Andy does win this season. I think Julia very well could.
Yeah.
I think the problem with Julia is like you guys said, she can't keep story straight, and Lane just made an accident in Boo Boo, used it again, but she used it Final Tribal, and kind of screwed her over. And
Yeah.
Lane just for some reason Kat trusted that Lane didn't do that, and Lane absolutely did that. And I think it just kind of it really caught up to her. I think Julia freaked out, panicked because like I didn't do this vote, but everyone thinks I did, and
Right.
it kind of just messed with her head and ultimately screwed her over. And I think she got a placement she really shouldn't have gotten because of everything,
Mm-hmm.
and she just kind of cracked underneath pressure. I do think she's very good. She learned from her mistake, and I think we could see Julia doing really well. I don't see a world where Julia I even goes to the edge of extinction.
No.
I think she's easily our fifth placer, like at least minimum fifth place. Um, but yeah, that's my thoughts on Julia. I think she's very good. My host favorite from last season. I didn't know her, but I adore Julia now.
Oh yeah.
I think like I said, she's a very good player, very social, very good in challenges. I think she's an early asset. I think she's someone people want to keep around. I think she is a calm in the sea of chaos we're gonna have, and people kind of combined in her. It's just a matter of keeping her story straight and not making those final two deals.
Yeah, that's the only other thing I was going to say. She's not very good when the one thing I hope she does do better with this season is that whenever she's in like a sticky situation, she has a tendency to react before she really thinks about what she should say. I think that really is what hurt her last time. If she's able to kind of piece things together and then react, I think that's going to work out much better for her. So yeah, I think like you said, like I think she could very well win this game. All right, let's see who's next.
Next up, as I'm chewing because I'm trying to eat dinner, is Dustin. He played
Who voted
Sweeney
for me?
Todd. Occupation server substitute and a substitute teacher. He plays 12th. He's 26 from Defiance, Ohio.
I don't know where those I don't know where those D's came from.
Ohio, but he goes by he him pronouns. Dustin is an interesting one because I think he just was a victim of Lane and Cat's chaos. I don't think he was really in a bad position. I think Dustin's not a good player, but I think he's not a bad player. I think he's a very good player. Sorry. I think the problem where he's not good is those calling constantly. If he could rate that, I don't think this is really call tribe he's on. He's really excited to see Lynn, so I think that'll work out for them.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of has to lay back that paranoia. Because let's say if that happens and he doesn't get idled out with an eye in his pocket, he can't go around, who voted for me? Who voted for me? That's going to rub people the wrong way. I think he has to tone back his kind of paranoia a bit. He was a bit paranoid. I think he was
a bit.
Yeah. I think he was in a very good position, though.
Yeah.
I think he just kind of got screwed over that legacy advantage was there.
I think Dustin, like you said, was very well positioned in Sweeney Todd. He was easily one of the most active on his tribe. I don't think there was like, I feel like every hour Dustin was calling somebody. If there was a call in the game, it usually was from Dustin. And, you know, those calls weren't nothing. Like he was making good connections with people. He was making good headway with Kat early on, with Amy early on. He was really well positioned. Seemed like he was going to be well positioned with like the Julia, Lane, and Kat of it all. If Jesse doesn't add him to that chat, that probably goes a little bit better. And maybe, you know, he could have gone farther. Obviously, he kind of leaves at the last minutes. Wasn't really supposed to go there. It was just kind of something that Lane pulled off at the last second. Kat was planning to go for him the round after with her safety without power, but that's not, or not knowledge is power. I did it again. Knowledge is power. And it just didn't really end up working out for him. On this season, I think he is going to do really well. I think that, you know, he has Lins. They're going to link up immediately. I think that he's going to be in a good position there. I do see him working kind of closely with Andy. I think that could really work out well for him. He has Steve, who I think he connects well with. I don't know how well him and Jester connect. I don't know how well him and Alex connect. I don't know how well he connects with like Tyler, but I do think that he is a very good player. And I think that he's someone that, you know, he knows how to talk to people. He knows what to say. But I do agree with you. I think his biggest downfall is going to be the paranoia that he showed in the jury. Hi, Marvin, by the way. The paranoia that he showed in the jury, if that is anywhere near what we see in the game, that is really going to be a problem for him. Because look, we loved his relationship with his two votes last season. It was very funny to watch. It was probably the highlights of the jury chat is, oh my God, is Dustin, what's going to be who's going to be the first person to go to the person that got voted out? What is Dustin going to say to them? How's that all going to play out? His constant worry about who those two votes were. But if he does that in the game, that could really end up being a problem for him. So we'll really have to see how he does. I could see him getting, honestly, a similar placement to he did last time, maybe a little bit better. I don't necessarily see him winning the game, but I at least see him making the jury phase. And I think that from there, we'll really just have to see how he does. But I'm excited to see him play. I think he's definitely one of the people that deserves the second chance on Sweeney the most. So I'm just, especially with like how he went out and everything, I'm just really excited to see what he does this time around. He did say that like he doesn't plan to do much differently. So again, if he dials back that paranoia, I think he can definitely do really well.
And we'll see. You said Amy wrong.
Oh yeah, you're right. How dare I?
Good, Peter.
You know, Dustin's kind of hard for me to place with this cast.
Yeah.
I feel like he either is going to end up going really far where he's going to be the first person off of Brains. I feel like he could easily be someone turned if Alex and Jester are feeling pressure early on and they have to go to tribal. I think they could get Dustin's head spinning. And if you can get Dustin spinning out of control more than Jester and Alex and Jester can be a little bit laid back, I think you could see Dustin being someone they pick off kind of early. If he manages to escape that, I think you could see him go probably right around the 12 to 9 range again. Just depending on, does he get in well with the Andy, Steve, and Brian coalition, or is it just him and Linz? And do him and Linz end up going up against Andy and Steve, or do they team up? Because I feel like that's going to be the driving narrative early on with Brains is where do the numbers fall as far as the tribe goes? And if those two duos are going to head to head, and they choose not to team up, I feel like Dustin could be targeted early and be an early casualty because of that.
All right.
Marvin, feel free to chime in if you want. I know you're here late, but
Well, I don't know how Dustin did, but as from what I'm gathering, he did place what, 12th place.
Yes. With 2 votes. With
Uh,
two
Yeah, with two
votes.
votes, yeah.
okay, so knowing Dustin and I'm currently playing with Dustin, I feel like he's someone that's gonna try to get in with people. Yes, 100%. But if you call him out on something, he doesn't know how to go with it, and he will try to, essentially come up with something that's not true whatsoever. But
Yeah.
I do see him spiraling if someone does end up confronting him for sure. So I'd have to say I'm with like Peter and Kevin on this one. So
Yeah, that was the only other thing I was gonna say is that he had the right idea of like calling people and things like that, but he just did not have the correct reads. He had way too much trust in Cat, and that really ended up fucking him over. So if he can have like a level, if he can have the correct reads, I think he can definitely do better. But all right.
And if the main target plays an idol, play an idol. Play your
Yes.
idol. Like
That too.
that's the
That
only thing.
too.
He should have played his idol there. Like that
Yeah.
was like if you don't know what's happening, like I would yeah,
I remember we thought Cat was gonna go with like 1 vote, and then it didn't
yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
So all right. Another Sweeney.
Yes, next up we have Tyler. He is a certified nurse assistant. He plays 16th, 32. He's from Oregon, and his pronouns are he, him. Tyler's an interesting one. I think he kind of, we had someone who didn't submit their cast photos. He joined this game 3 hours before.
Yeah.
I think he was kind of disoriented. I know Tyler can be active in games. He can also be inactive. Tyler probably doesn't go where he goes if had Amy not self people actually thought she was serious about self-voting that round and was really drunk and cross-baited and
Yeah.
self-voting. And I think he would have survived. And I think he had a lot of longevity and he just really got screwed over by not being as active and people not thinking Amy would do what she did. It just really kind of screwed him over. And I think he is a decent player. I've seen him go far. I've also seen him not go as far. I'm quite curious what he'll do because I don't know much about Tyler. I just know the kind of way he went. He would not have gone if it wasn't for the circumstances or people literally just one person said, is Amy really going to self vote? I'm going to vote her out then, which is what they should have done because
Yeah.
at that point, I think.
Yeah, I think with Tyler, it's really interesting because, like you said, he joined this game literally like just a few hours before we started. And so he kind of comes in and he's not really sure what to do. He wasn't super active the first couple rounds. But the thing is, like when he left, he was starting to become a lot more active. He actually, I think, placed the highest in the comp that they ended up losing in. So he definitely can be a real asset. When he needs to be. And I think that he is somebody that I think I could see going a lot farther this time around. In his write-up, all he said is that he likes meeting people even if they are over and over and over and over again. He wants to be more active and social. And I think that really is the key here is that if he's more social early on, I don't think what happens to him last season happens to him. I think that they kind of just let Amy go at that point, knowing that Amy is going to self vote for herself. Is going to vote for herself. So yeah, I think that victim of circumstances, victim of whatever the fuck that crazy tribal was. Yeah, I think he's going to do better this time. I don't know how much better he's going to do. Really comes down to how active he is. I do think on his tribe, I do think that he's in a spot where I could see him going fairly early. I think, like we talked about before, I think like Melissa, Danielle, and Julia, I think that they team up. I think that, someone like someone like a Tyler, a Tristan, and a Mike, those are the people I really worry about on that tribe. And I think Tyler's just one of them where I don't know how he's going to do. He's kind of similar to Tristan for me, where he's just kind of, I don't know where he could go. He could kind of go anywhere. I do think he's going to do better than he did last season. I don't see him being one of the first people out, but I don't know if I necessarily see him making a deep run either. So we'll have to see. But hey, there's no Amy this time around, so maybe things will work out better for him.
Tyler, for me, is really going to have to bring his personality out a little bit on this tribe.
Yeah.
I mean, you just look people-wise between Julia, Danielle, Melissa, Nicole, Mike, Kinsey. Like, Tyler If you have Braun go to early tribals, he's going to need to hope that some of the other
Yeah.
bigger personalities are taking shots at each other. Otherwise, I feel like he's just going to be kind of this quiet person in the background that no one really feels overly connected to. I can't say I haven't played super high. I'd say his best case scenario, he's 16th again.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion on it. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but the couple games I've played, he tends to be pretty quiet for the most part, and that tends to do him in typically earlier rather than later.
Marvin, if you have any thoughts.
He said he'd be right back, so we'll go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll go to the last person then.
Yes, next we have Blake from Sweeney Todd. His occupation is a go-go dancer. He's 27 from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. His pronouns are he, him. Blake is an interesting one for me. I played with Blake. I've seen Blake go far. He's currently very far in the game right now.
Yep.
Blake is a good player if he's around. The question is he around again? He kind of really botched that challenge. Him and AJ,
Yeah.
where he went out with only tribal shop went pre-merge, and I think it kind of really just screwed him. Is that AJ had better connections? People would feel as connected to Blake, and I feel like it just made him an easy kind of scapegoat. I know Blake can be a very good player. I know he's very social. People do like Blake. I think if he gets early on social, we could see him kind of going towards the merge, but being like a merge-ish boot. I'm quite curious who Blake is. Like I said, I enjoyed playing with Blake. We really were on the same side of things, but yeah, I do think he's a very good player, and he is good at drawing the people in that he needs to.
Yeah, I think that Blake is in a really interesting spot on this cast because it's kind of similar to Tyler, but I think that Blake was maybe even a little bit worse than Tyler because with Tyler, at least Tyler was like doing really well in challenges, starting to become a bit more active when he did. Blake started off the game fairly inactive, wasn't really contributing in the scavenger hunt, did really bad on that puzzle. Wasn't really, but also wasn't really active until suddenly he had to be for the tribal and just ended up really just targeting the wrong person. Like there really was no reason that it should have been AJ there. I think that there were many other avenues he could have gone, but he also wasn't active enough to really recognize the dynamics of the tribe. So I think that really did end up hurting him. How he's going to do here, I really don't know. I think that Blake has a tendency to be a very messy player. I just played a mini with him, and I think that, he definitely was someone that, I think could have gone a little bit farther, but he was someone that kind of became a target as a result of that. He kind of became a target early on. He did say he's hoping to see Julia again, so maybe those two can try to reconnect in some way if they're given the chance to. He did say that he wants to kind of try to talk more to everyone, and I think he knows that was kind of his downfall. But I would say his bigger downfall really was just not even that he just wasn't active, but also did not know the dynamics of his tribe, and I think that really did end up hurting him. So yeah, I really don't know how he's going to do. I think the tribe that he's on, it's not the greatest one for him. I think you could easily get picked off on that tribe. I think you have people who I think are going to be a lot more social than him. If he's able to put in the effort more than he did last time, I don't think he ends up going early. But if it's similar to what he did last time, I think he might just end up going the same place he did. So we'll have to see. Hopefully he does better. I was really looking forward to seeing him go far on the cast. And when he went early, it was a little bit disappointing because I really felt he had a lot more in him. So I hope we get to see more of that this season. But if not, we'll see what happens. Peter, what do you think?
If he's still here by the time we run the puzzle relay, I will be shocked.
If he gets the same puzzle again, that would be really funny.
Just truth of the matter is, I mean, I feel like Beauty's probably losing the first 2 to 3 immunities.
Yeah,
and I really just
agreed.
I don't see a lot of people Blake meshes well with on his OG Beauty tribe. I think Dex goes first. I think Blake probably goes second.
Yeah.
The one thing I'd throw in Blake's favor is I think Blake probably is your heavy favorite to win the first battle back.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I also feel like he's probably then immediately sent back out after coming back into the game from the battle back. Like I don't see a lot of people he's going to connect with well. I feel like his best connection is probably going to be Dex, and I don't think Dex makes it past round one, unless they have somebody who just doesn't show up all weekend. They choose to vote out because they were AFK. Um, but he'll just need some things to fall in his favor correctly. If that happens and he can get to a swap, I think there's people in other tribes that he definitely may be able to team up with better. But that's just he's gonna have to survive those first 3 rounds, which I don't see.
Is Marvin still here or?
No, I think he dropped out. So yeah, just
All right,
stop
so
it. Take up the screen share. That includes
Yeah.
our cast assessment. We'll be back soon with our host draft. Yeah, so thank you for listening to this. We're sorry that it is so long, but yeah.